you guys, I have a really fun video for us today. I've done this the past couple of years and it's always really, I don't know, kind of cringeworthy to go back in time and see what your former self thought that they were going to do with themselves in a year. But I'm going to go back and watch my 2020 sewing resolutions video and kind of talk with you guys about some of the things that went well and then some of the things that maybe not. A lot of times what happens is I realize that I just forgot I wanted to do something at all. So here we go.
I cannot believe it is 2020, start of a new year, the start of a new decade. It's a very, very exciting time in my mind and in my heart. And over the course of the last few years with this channel, I have been very vocal with you guys about sort of the idea of resolutions, the idea of setting goals for yourself, and none of that has really changed. I'm not one of those people that makes a ton of resolutions. I'm someone who looks at it like an evolution. So it's not like by the end of the year, I will have done this exact thing. Instead, it's like I'm going to work on this and I'm going to be better at that. And that definitely applies to my sewing. I mean,
This is really interesting to me because I feel like 2020 changed my mind about resolutions. It's not that I don't feel like I didn't evolve last year. It's just this year I'm like, no, I have actual goals. You'll hear about those soon. I have a 2021 resolutions video coming out soon, but the whole idea of evolution versus resolution, I don't know. I might be singing a different tune this year.
I haven't been sewing that long, you guys. I'm not one of those people who grew up with it. No one in my family ever sewed. I really just found it as an adult in my late 20s and just became obsessed, and so learned really quickly. But with that comes a lot of things that as I am more confident in my sewing, there are things about my sewing that I wish I were better at, things that I wish I did differently, things just an evolution of becoming a beginner sewist, becoming very obsessed, trying to learn as much as you possibly can, making as many mistakes as you can. And now that all that's kind of settled down, I feel like I can be a lot more diligent and vigorous about my sewing evolution.
I agree with myself about that. And I do feel like, I mean, we'll get into specifics here in a second, but I do feel like I was more focused and more diligent about the quality of the work that I was doing.
Ever want to just stay stagnant. I don't ever want to just say, well, I can make just about anything I want to wear, so, that's it. I really, really want to just keep learning and keep getting better. But it's interesting because the resolutions from 2017 and 2018 are kind of still things that I am working on. One of them was to finish everything. What would my future self feel if I take this shortcut? So if I skip this interfacing, for example, and I'm going to wear this garment in the future and it's kind of falling apart and not holding up well, my future self's going to be really disappointed that I took this shortcut now. So don't take the shortcut, see it all the way through, finish it perfectly, so on and so forth. But there are certain things that I still catch myself, especially like on the garments that are a little bit more casual. I don't know, I feel like I could take extra shortcuts there. Not changing my serger thread. Stupid stuff. Stupid stuff. So I'm almost there with that. Another one of the
Okay, so I can specifically recall several instances in 2020 where I was literally chanting to myself, do what your future self would be proud of. Do this for your future self. Do this for your future self over and over and over again. And inevitably, even though it took longer, a lot of times it was like because I'd made a mistake, and to fix the mistake correctly would require seam ripping and a headache and a whole bunch of problems. Different things like doing French seams versus serging. Like I was saying before, when it comes to the casual stuff is when I'm kind of like, oh, it's just a little casual thing, no big deal. But if you really take the time to do those nice finishing techniques, I mean, even your casual clothes are stuff that you're like, heck yeah, I made this. So that's interesting.
Solutions, bless my heart, is I really wanted to perfect a pants pattern. No, we're not there. I mean, I'm making pants, loose fitting pants. I can do that really, really well. But I am not necessarily making pants all the time, or certainly don't have one pattern that is like my go-to pants pattern. With that said, though, I'm not really a pants wearer. I have a few, and that gets me through what I need.
Oh my God, I'm dying laughing because everyone knows that during this pandemic, anyone who didn't have pants all of a sudden was like, yeah, I definitely need lots and lots and lots of pants. I need leggings. I need jeggings. I need pants. I went from being exclusively like a dress wearer to needing actual pants because I just wasn't wearing dresses. I'm not going to wear a dress to like just go do a Target run or just go, check the mail. Especially, whenever it's cooler here. Like I'm not getting all dressed up anymore. So that is why I'm dying laughing about not being a pants person.
If all of them happen to be loose-fitting culotte style pants, what's wrong with that? That's fine. I don't have to have like cigarette pants. I don't have to have, a pair of jeans that I've made myself, especially if I can figure out a way to get ready to wear ones. Get them at Goodwill, so I'm helping the environment still, helping my wallet still, and get them to fit well, then you know what? I'm kind of okay. And that's part of an evolution too, is just settling in and realizing what your strengths are, what they aren't, finding a good compromise for the things that you aren't going to be exceptional at, and doing the best you can. Maybe that's what I mean about my, sewing journey and kind of where I am now that I'm a little bit more confident. I don't have to be able to make absolutely everything. And I am perfectly okay with that. What's hysterical is two of them from 2 years ago was lessen my stash and no more works in progress. And I don't know, maybe I am just that person that's going to always have a work in progress pile. I am always that person that is going to continue adding to her stash, even though she's got plenty of fabrics to choose from. Maybe that's just like, how there are some people who make their bed every day, and there are some people who don't. And there are some people who always have the kitchen sink empty without any dishes, and then there are the people who let it all pile up and then deal with it later. Maybe that's just how it's going to be. I don't know. But what I do know for sure that speaks to kind of both of these things is that, and I started to subconsciously do this toward the end of the year, is that I don't feel like I need to make all of the things. When a new pattern release comes out, I used to buy like a lot of those patterns, more than 10. I have an insane pattern stash, which I've started to cull a little bit, which is nice. And then I would just feel like, oh my God, I've got to sew all of this stuff. And I think what I'm realizing now is that A, that's not necessary. B, a lot of the patterns that you are drawn to with every release, you have something similar if you've been buying patterns as vigorously as I have been buying patterns. So a lot of times I'll be like, oh, that's really cute. But then I'll be like, but wait, that's a lot like that other pattern that I haven't sewn yet.
Okay, I think that we can all agree that there was a whole lot less shopping going on in 2020. But even with like the indie patterns and things that you can instantly download, even that kind of stuff, I'm passing on a lot of it. So I guess I did a good job with that. I don't know if it's just because my mindset changed because the world changed, or if I truly evolved and was able to reconcile this within my mind. I don't know.
I haven't really added to my stash at all. And you'll see in my plans video coming up, I plan on sewing from the stash all year long. So my style is, I feel like...
Didn't we all? I mean, a lot of us didn't have choices. A lot of us couldn't go shopping. So yeah, I didn't buy any fabric at all and exclusively sewed from the stash. Oh gosh, maybe half the months. Now, I do have brands that send me fabric. So that adds to the stash, but it doesn't take away from my wallet. But that doesn't mean that is like taming the stash in any way. You know what I mean? I did sew from my stash a lot in 2020, and you guys probably saw that in the makes videos, you know, whenever in the description box, and I say the pattern and the fabric, a lot of times it was fabric from Joann, no longer available. Fabric from New York, no longer available. Fabric from a friend, not available online. You know, whatever it was. So yeah. Pandemic or not, listen, a win is a win, okay?
Opportunity where I can really start to tackle some of the stash. Because those patterns are a little bit more basic, I feel like that's why I haven't reached for the fabrics I have now, because I'm going for like a fancy pattern, and all the fancy fabrics that I love, I've already made. So what's left are kind of like the basics.
That is so interesting, because obviously I've discussed that my style kind of transitioned to a more casual thing. And so if that's what I felt like I had in my stash at that time, more casual fabrics, then that makes sense that I would be able to use those.
And it's hard to be inspired from the basics. On top of that is the works in progress situation. And I feel like what happens with that is I am very, very excited to make something, so I cut it out, and then something else distracts me. Squirrel! And I'm off to make the next thing. And what I really need to do is just say, no, like, just be hard on myself. I just can't allow myself to just willy-nilly whenever I want. I have to be diligent about it. And this...
Okay, so I do feel like I did a good job of finishing the projects that I started in 2020. My works in progress pile from before that is no less, no fewer projects. I don't think I did one works in progress I don't think I did one works in progress project that I had started prior to 2020. But I do feel like I did a really good job of finishing all the projects that I did start last year.
Second part of the work in progress situation is I'll start to make something and realize it's not going to fit, or it's not going to turn out the way that I like, and so I bail. But I don't fully bail, I just partially bail, meaning fold up the fabric and tuck it away somewhere and tell myself that I'm going to get to it. And then I never do. So I just have to be really, really hard on myself in all of these situations with the stashes that I've got. And I think that that's just a matter of not necessarily like being more mature, but just being more knowledgeable and more real with myself, more honest with myself. So I guess in a way that's kind of how all of that is evolving. I should just admit when a project is a fail and just that's what it is and move on, and we have those and we learn from those, and that's fine. So that's kind of where I've gotten with my sewing resolutions and my sewing
Okay, well that wasn't as brutal as I thought it was gonna be. Certainly I still need to work on some of those things, as I will continue to do, but I do feel like I made some decent progress in 2020. I do feel like, and again, maybe it's just due to the circumstances we were all forced into, but maybe those circumstances have instilled a different mindset or different habits, or I don't know, just a different way of thinking. Maybe we can all find a silver lining in having to spend so much time at home alone with nothing to do but finish all the projects we start. You know what I'm saying? So, well, that was a fun trip down memory lane. Yeah, I encourage you guys to all go back to your 2020 resolutions, kind of review, whether you wrote them in a journal or, you know, told a friend or somebody what you were wanting to do. It's a great way to hold yourself a little bit accountable, but also appreciate how far you've come. I think a lot of times life just keeps going and we never take any time to look back and say, you know what? Like, I have come a long way. You know what? Last year was rough, but look at all these great things that I was able to bring into my life. So I hope that you guys will be able to do that, and maybe this video will inspire you to do so. But that is going to do it for me today. My 2021 resolutions video will be out very soon. It's a very big departure from anything that you've seen here today. I'm excited to share it with you, so stay tuned for that. But that's going to do it for me today. See you all very soon. Bye.